And now may I request our Honorable Chief Guest, Professor J.L. Gupta, to kindly say a few words. Professor Gupta is Distinguished Professor of Management, has been associated with a number of institutions and universities like MDI University, Gurgaon. He is a member in number of other corporate boards and committees of the government and consultant in the areas of organization design, leadership training and HRD systems. Professor Gupta believes that learning is a never-ending process and one continues to discover oneself in this journey and that learning requires an impetus and environment to thrive and flourish. So please.
Director of the Institute, convener of the conference, dignitaries on the dais, faculty members of the Institute, participants to the conference from other places, and dear students. I must thank Tecnia for inviting me to be the chief guest of this conference, which has been organized on a very important topic, 7S framework of McKinsey. It was in early 80s that a book came, In Search of Excellence by Peters and Waterman. That book gave the 7S framework. All these 7 factors were identified as those factors which were responsible for excellence in organizations. Organizations of various kinds, service, as also in the manufacturing sector. Some firms were identified as excellent organizations. Of course, after some time, some of them lost that position. They were no longer excellent. Some other joined the group. They became excellent. But these 7 factors remained important from all kinds of organizations all over the world. These were considered relevant then, and they are considered relevant now. As has been mentioned here, that 3 of the factors, if I can use the computer terminology, constitute the hardware, strategy, structure and systems, and the other 4 constitute the software. The connecting force, joining force, cementing force of all these factors is called the shared values. The culture, the shared values, beliefs and norms that an organization follows holds a very critical position. It influences these other 6 factors and gets in turn influenced by these 6 factors. All the 6 factors may be right, yet the organization may not excel, organization may not succeed. Why? Because the culture of the organization may not be in tune with the challenges of the day. Every period in human history, in business history in particular, has its own challenges to meet. You know, some of the challenges that organization faced in 80s and 90s and the first decade after that continue to be relevant, but there are quite a few things that have changed. These changes pose to be the challenges for any management. Particularly the soft factors become more important. Not to say that the strategies do not remain so, or the structural changes are not important. You know, it is, because earlier the structures used to be changed every 5 years, 10 years, not earlier than 3 years. Now you find that because of the very pressing challenges that have come to exist in the environment, even the organization structure, which was considered sacrosanct on a long-term basis, needs to be changed, say, every 2 years, 3 years. sometimes within a year. The systems are also undergoing changes continuously. So there is a process of continuity and change. The wisdom of the management lies in identifying what needs to be continued and what needs to be changed. Particularly in the area of soft skills, software, as I said earlier, that is skill, staff and style. What should be the management style? What kind of leadership is required? What kind of skills are needed today to meet the current challenges, say for instance, of rapidly changing technology, increasing diversity, leadership style, appropriate style in the face of contemporary challenges is a very critical factor. Many of the organizations have failed because of one factor, and the factor of leadership. Many of the organizations have succeeded because the person heading that organization knew how to lead. So leading is still the most important factor out of these 7 factors that have been identified. What style should you use? I am giving you 2 examples, and thereafter I'll end, and you can be free to move out as an, whenever you feel the need. Recently, I met 2 of my students who were working in a company. I asked each one of them separately, how are you feeling? You are happy in your job? You are happy with your company? Any problem? One of the 2 said, sir, everything is rosy, everything is fine, I am very comfortable, but there is only one negative factor. And that is my boss is not good. In companies, usually it's a complaint, my boss is not good. I said, why? Why is he not good? What does he do? He said, sir, he discriminates among employees. So he's not good. I asked the other one separately, who was also working in the same company under the same boss. I asked him, any problem? He said, everything is fine except one, and that boss is very bad. Same boss. I said, why is he bad? He said, because he treats people equally. That is, he does not discriminate. Have you listened to me carefully? 2 employees under the same boss, one is complaining boss is bad because he discriminates, the other is complaining because the boss does not discriminate. It's very important to understand your own style. There is no one best style for all situations. Styles vary. But when should it be that of discriminating? Because it's good to discriminate from those who are efficient and those who are inefficient. You must discriminate. A good leader will do that. A good manager will do that. You will not treat them equally. So discriminating necessarily is not bad. Similarly, if you treat people equally, efficient, inefficient, hardworking, not working, they are the same for you, then also it's a wrong style. So a boss should discriminate, should also treat people equally, but when to discriminate and when to treat equally must know. Maybe the boss was using a wrong style at the wrong time, or one particular style when it should not have used. This is one. That was just to highlight the importance of leadership factor before you. And hold on for 1 or 2 minutes more. I'll tell you another story just to highlight a very important factor again connected with the software, that is what kind of skills you need to be a good manager, to be a good leader. I'm using these 2 terms more or less interchangeably, and they are not interchangeable. Leadership is different from managership. But a very good manager is also a leader. So the story is like this. It's like old stories. Old stories used to start with what? There was a king. Once upon a time there was a king. So something like that. There was a king. He had a son whom he wanted to be a very good king when he was not there. So father was concerned about his son. So he invited the best teacher of his kingdom and said, please take this boy under your care, teach him, he will live with you in that ashram, forest, wherever you are living, in your kutia as they say, and you can order him to do anything he has to do. You should groom him up, and whenever you think he is ready, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whenever you think he is ready to be a king, in your eyes he is good, then you can send him to me. So that great teacher of that kingdom took him under his care. He lived with him. He did everything in the ashram that his guru asked him to do. And finally, Guru was very satisfied that this fellow has turned out to be a very good person. He will be a worthy king in due course. So before he decided to send him or take him along with him to the king, he asked him once, he said, you are ready. Actually, you are a wonderful boy. I can take you, can be a good king in future. But let me give you some work, as is the last thing today. You say, what is that? You go to a nearby forest. That forest was not inhabited by any wild animals. No wild animals. It was a huge forest. He said, go there and listen to or hear all the sounds that you can hear. Hear all the sounds that you can hear in that forest. That boy obeyed the Guru and went to a huge forest. It took him quite a few days to go around and find out what voices he could hear. But there was nothing really, simple voices. He didn't hear anything very, very great or significant for that. Because he was actually thinking, if the Guru has asked me to do this, there must be something great in it. So he was trying to find out. He couldn't find anything. Simple voices. He came back. He said, sir, I'm here. He said, what voices did you hear? What sounds did you hear? He said, well, simple. I've heard the sound of birds singing, crickets chirping, the wind whisper and holler, bees buzz, leaves rustle. These are the sounds which you get normally in a forest. Leaves rustle when there's a wind. The leaves produce some little sound. Birds singing, crickets chirping, bees buzzing. He said, these are the sounds that I have heard. Is anything else? Nothing, sir. It's very good. I want you to go again. Spend as much time as you want this time. Maybe a few days, maybe a month. See, maybe there is something else. So he goes back again. This time he is very confused because there was hardly anything. So he sat under the trees, meditated, and he said, well, there must be something. When that great teacher of his says this, there must be something more for me to hear. Well, one day when he was meditating, he felt that something is happening to him and there is something that he has become aware of. He comes back to the teacher. Teacher again asks him, what did you hear this time? He said, sir, I have heard the birds singing, crickets chirping, bees buzz, wind whisper and holler, same sounds, but I have heard something more. I have heard the sound of sun warming the earth. I have heard the sound of grass drinking the morning dew. I have heard the sound of flower blossoming. I have heard the unheard. He said, I have heard which others do not hear. I have heard what others have not said. The teacher said, now you are fit to be a king. Because if a king can hear the sorrows, the pains, the miseries, the troubles of the people without their telling him, he can sense it, he can hear it, how his people are feeling, then it is good to be a king. This is called empathy. So leaders of today and tomorrow perhaps need to be driven more by empathy, more by compassion, more by kindness, more by humility than other qualities of head and heart, which remain important. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Your address gave us a new perspective that one should adopt while discussing these issues. May I now invite co-convener for today's conference, Dr. Sandeep Kumar, Head R&D, for giving away the vote of thanks.
Honorable dignitaries, delegates, and friends, I feel privileged and honored to take the opportunity to extend vote of thanks for 35th National Conference on McKinsey 7S model. I would like to extend our gratitude to Honorable Chief Guest Professor J.L. Gupta for his presence and valuable thought. I would like to give my sincere thanks to Honorable Guest of Honor, Mr. V.K. Gupta, Professor B.B. Khatri, and Professor S.S. Handa for an overview and putting before us the logic behind the McKinsey 7S. I would like to thank our chairman in absentia and patron of this conference, Dr. Ram Kailash Gupta, for giving us the opportunity to host this conference in Tecnia Institute of Advanced Study. Further, I would like to thank our director, Dr. Ajay Kumar, and Chief Executive A&D, Dr. A.K. Srivastava, for gracing this occasion and also putting effort for all backstage work performed to make this conference a great success. My sincere thanks to Professor Rajesh Bajaj for the knowledgeable keynote on McKinsey 7S model. At last, a special thanks to all delegates who came here to participate in this conference. I am confident that the amount of effort wasted in organizing this conference will make this event a memorable one. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, my sincere thanks to all of you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir. Once again, our sincere thanks to our chief guest and guest of honor for gracing this conference. Thank you.